I know I've probably shared the recipe before, but let me show you how I make this soup that I talk about all the time that carries my family through the week. You can, once it's cooked, you can put some in the fridge and some in the freezer, get it out maybe Wednesday or Thursday from the freezer, and you'll have this soup for the entire week. I make it in a 5-quart crock pot for 2 people. And so already in the crock pot is 1 can of diced tomatoes. It's very important to read the label. In this brand, I'm not selling any specific brand, so I just want you to read your labels. It's only diced tomatoes and tomato juice and sea salt and calcium chloride and citric acid, which are there to help them stay good. And those are not usually going to be triggers for any kind of food allergy, or you know your own food allergies, but for overeating and stuff like that. And so I start out with 1 can of clean diced tomatoes, and this is a clean bone broth, and it's a whole quart that we put in the 5-quart container. And then here's what makes it really yummy, and this is not a clean food, it's just I put 2 in here. If you want a different kind of seasoning or to make your own, you can. I go ahead and compromise with this, and it does have a few unpronounceable ingredients in the first in the ingredients list, but not so much in the first 3. Also, the first step, ground thyme, about 1.5 teaspoons is enough. Celery salt, I like it a lot, so 2 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon of black pepper, and then another Italian seasoning or oregano, and you can do however much of that you like to taste. I do 1 tablespoon. And then the rest of it to start. So that's all in here, along with a few extra onions, because I like red onions, and I've chopped them very tiny, as you can see. But you can, if you like to eat onions bigger, you can, any size of onion you want in here. And I also have some garlic, 4 cloves that I diced up myself. Okay, so I'm going to stir that in there. And the normally, which will take a whole different video, but I have them now, but chopped in my freezer at all times is a container of frozen red onions, frozen green peppers, and frozen celery. And I use a pretty good amount, about 1/4 cup of the celery and about 1/4 cup of the green peppers, and then the red onions are less. But today I'm going to use a blend that is also clean. I read the ingredients. There's onion, celery, green bell peppers, red bell peppers, and parsley in this mix. Just read the label. Make sure there's nothing added. And you can use however much of this you think. I'm going to use a little more than half of the bag. But you can buy these in all different brands. Again, I'm not selling a brand today. Baby carrots. Baby carrots, if you do the small baby carrots, they can go in whole, raw. If you want to use frozen, don't put them in until the next step, because we're going to cook the raw. And then the big one is you'll have to chop up a head of cabbage. And I get a big head of cabbage. I chop it all up and use only half in the first week and second, and then the next week I use the second half. And it's just already chopped up. And I used baby carrots today. You can put them in whole, like I said, and usually I do, but today, because I've been liking to chop them up a little more, and I have a vegetable chopper. And since I didn't have to do a bunch of onions and peppers today, because I already have some frozen, and I wanted to buy those ones for the demo, because I know a lot of people aren't gonna spend that kind of time, but I use the onions and peppers for so many things. And when you get those on sale, they're not bad. And then you just want to stir it up. You will not need the liquid to completely cover your cabbage or your vegetables right now. We're going to add more vegetables later on. I'm going to use frozen. Anything that you're using that's raw at this point, that's harder vegetables that you're not going to blanch first and you're not using frozen, then please put them in the first round. So if you're going to put radishes or broccoli or something in here, the softer things like squashes, if you're going to add some chopped up squash or something, you wouldn't want to add that yet. So just think about the cruciferous, the harder vegetables. If you're doing Brussels sprouts, you'd add those, and the raw stuff. So if it's already blanched, it can go in the next step. And like I said, it doesn't have to cover, the liquid doesn't have to cover. I use a whole, I had half, so I've used half and half. I'm gonna pour the other half on now. And this is about half of this container. So I had already had half in there from an older container. And then I'm just gonna set it on high today because in about 5-6 hours, I wanna be able to finish, I wanna be able to do step 2. But if you're gonna do this while you're gone at work, or maybe if you're gonna go overnight, I sleep longer than that, so I don't do this, this particular recipe overnight, but I think you could. So if you're going to do that overnight, you could do it on low. But I do it on high and it takes about 4 to 5 hours. That'll depend on your crock pot. So this is the first cooking step. It's gonna have to cook quite a long time. Later on I'll come back and I'll add some other vegetables. So I'll add on at the end and you'll see the finished product.